Hi, welcome to the Next Level Contractor podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bourgeois. Today, we have with us our guest, Mr. Carlos Diaz, who is a national licensing consultant for a company called One Exam Prep. One Exam Prep is a contractor exam prep company. So, as you know, here at Next Level Contractor, our mission is to help brand new contractors go from day one to day 365 or day 700, 0 to $1 million. We try to make sure that brand new contractors don't become a statistic and that you make it through the the first couple of years of being in business successfully. So today we're going to interview Mr. Carlos Diaz, and we're actually going to back up a little bit to discuss what it takes to become a licensed contractor. Uh, Carlos, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much, you guys, here at Next Level Contractor for having me on.
Let me ask you this, Carlos. I know you're a busy guy, so I'll get right into it. I won't waste a lot of your time. Can you tell us? Can you give us a little bit of a description about One Exam Prep and the services provided?
Absolutely. So we are a school and bookstore for contractors. Most states require some testing. Most of the exams are based on book knowledge, not real life experience knowledge, even though that does help. And even though most of the time it is required, but we prepare contractors from day one prior having licensing, and even what I call aftercare, where we assist contractors with their bookkeeping, insurance, continuing education, and everything that they need and require to maintain and have a successful licensing and company.
Got it. And how long have you been a licensing consultant?
I have been with One Exam Prep, working on my ninth year now, if I'm not mistaken. And but I've been in the construction industry for quite some time. And please don't hate me. I worked with Jacobs and OSHA in the past. So I was
OSHA,
one
huh?
of those. I was one of those hated guys when you saw me at the job site. Everybody start running, grab their hard hats on.
Yeah. Hard hats, harnesses, quick.
Yeah,
Yeah, connect the rope. Um,
absolutely.
yeah, I'm a contractor myself, so that's relatable. Well, thanks, Carlos, for being here once again. And um, 9 years with One Exam Prep, so 9 years as a licensing consultant. I guess you probably pretty much know the ins and outs. Now, like in what territory does One Exam Prep offer exam prep? Contractor
So
exam prep.
we cover nationwide. Most tested states we will cover, understanding that every state's going to be a little bit different from the other. Some states rather require, three exams, for example, while other states may require just one. So every state's going to have their own little intricacies. All of our consultants here are experts on get at least getting that information. I'm gonna be honest. We're all human. We may not know it out of the top of our heads, but some of us know exactly where to find it, how to interpret the individual state laws and regulations, and how to deliver that to our clients so they can have a successful journey in their licensing experience.
Got it. So maybe we'll get a little more detail on that. Let me ask a sort of first questions first. What are, in your experience, what are the biggest misconceptions that people have about getting a contractor's license? And then what's the reality?
A lot of people, we can thank some TV networks for making it look very easy, and oh, anybody can be a contractor. It's that's not quite the case. Not everybody can be a doctor, not everybody can be an attorney, not everybody can be a contractor. But most states will require that you have certain amount of experience. um, Again, most states have testing, that you have to do. Again, so there's some study time that has to be put behind this in order to successfully be able to attain your licenses. Also, one of the things is financial and background checks. Those are two of the big things. So even though there are certain financial requirements that a lot of states that will vary from state to state, whether that be a report from your accountant or a certain credit score. So depending on the state and your individual circumstances, there are certain things that you can do to alleviate those things and to meet the requirements that the state wants. So just simply because, let's say, for example, your credit score may not be a particular number, there are certain things that you can do to mitigate that situation, not only to increase your credit score, but also for the state to give you certain waivers and say, okay, so you go through this particular course. Like, say, for example, the state of Florida has a class called Financial Responsibility and Stability. And then, they'll award you with the license. The other one with the background checks, I apologize, Michael, is just because you had a pass does not mean that you will not be able to attain your license. Again, this varies from state to state, depending on what the case might have been, how long do you have a disposition from the judge, has this been clear and said and done and over with, so that will be able to assist you to be able to get your license.
It sounds like what you're speaking to now would be uh, addressing certain people's maybe hesitation
Oh,
to try
absolutely.
to move forward with the process. They find out. I mean, because you can Google, what does it take to be a licensed contractor in Florida? What does it take to be a licensed contractor in Oklahoma? What does it take to be a licensed contractor in Tennessee?
Right.
Whatever it is, and probably find a list of requirements. And I'm sure it would probably be. Does it? How does somebody get a hold of you? Does it cost anything to give you a call and ask you what it would take to become a licensed contractor?
Not at all. Super easy. I mean, everybody can give me a call. My direct number is 954-414-0293. Or shoot me an email, which is Carlos at the number one examprep.com. And that will be the actual number one, not spelled out, but the actual numerical one, examprep.com.
I appreciate that. And so the website would be oneexamprep.com, right?
Correct.
If you just wanted to browse a little bit. But yeah, it doesn't cost anything to browse, and it doesn't cost anything to call Carlos and ask some questions, right? If you're thinking about becoming a contractor. But to address what you were saying earlier, I'm assuming a lot of people call in and they're familiar with the prerequisites, or they're not, and you tell them what's going to be required, and then they hesitate, maybe because their credit score isn't the greatest, or maybe because they made some, poor decisions a while back, and that would be impacting a background check. So they're nervous, they're scared that maybe it would be a big waste of time. But you're saying that there's steps that people can take to still get approved for licensure, uh, even though they don't have the best credit. That's what
That
you're saying?
that is correct, 100%.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. That's good to know. I'm sure that's pretty encouraging. I mean, hey, it is construction after all. Yeah, there might be some applicants out there without, the greatest credit score in the world. I hear you.
Yeah.
All right. So
And listen, let's be honest, we just got out of the whole COVID world.
that's true.
And, a
Yeah.
lot of
Forget.
us
Yeah.
suffer
Forget
some
construction. Everybody.
financial restrictions. I have personal friends of mine that lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in their businesses. So, everybody has their own individual opinions on that. But let's be real, it did affect the economy. It did affect a lot of things for a lot of
It
people.
sure did. You're right about that. I mean, not just construction. It affected, honestly, construction probably fared better during all this, because it's a solid industry, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just one of those. I don't know if it's AI proof, but I mean, it is one of those things that.
Well, interestingly enough, I live in the state of Florida,
Mhm.
and with the new elections and everything that just happened, one of the things that a lot of politicians, regardless of what side of the aisle you stand on, they want to see certain levels of economic improvement. So they have released, at least in the state of Florida, all these new grants and programs to improve infrastructure. And right now, we have more jobs listed at the state level where contractors can bid for these jobs than we have contractors to handle those jobs.
How about that? How about that? So, no shortage of work out there for
No,
anybody that's willing to work, right?
absolutely.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. That's pretty encouraging, actually. So, next question, what are the most common challenges that aspiring contractors face during the licensing process? And, how does one exam prep help them overcome these hurdles?
Probably one of the most common challenges that I usually encounter with some of our clients is clients that have been in the industry for a number of years and they think that's going to carry them through the testing. Just because you're good at your job, just because you know whatever limitations and regulations you may have in your specific scope of work, that doesn't equal success on the examinations. When I stress to our clients, this is not about your knowledge. And I usually use the little joke, if the books tell you that you hang drywall with bubble gum, that's the right answer because that is exactly how the exams are, you know. And I always say, please don't
Uh,
think I'm an idiot thinking that you hang drywall with bubble gum. And
yeah,
and obviously that is not going to be the case. But it's 100% book based. So
I will attest to that. Yep, your trade knowledge is only going to carry you so far in the exam. There is I hold a few different contractors licenses, and I will say that in all the years, my whole adult life has pretty much been in the construction industry. I started in construction as a teenager, and in all the years doing it, I was in construction 20 years before I ever bothered to pursue getting a license. There were there was information I had never seen or heard before.
yeah,
There were books I did not know existed when it came to studying for the exams that I had never seen the book before in my life, and after I passed my exam, I have not seen the book since.
yeah.
I've never referenced it. I don't need it. But there was questions on the exam that was in that book um, that again in all the years I had never ever heard of even
Yeah.
some of the products they were talking about. So
And then, and also, for example, you have to understand who's publishing and creating these books. It's usually engineers and attorney. In the academic world, there's a saying, publish or perish. Um,
mm,
and that's what these guys are. They're academics and they have to constantly publish their books and update the editions and try to maintain with new technology, new techniques, and all that stuff. And even though you may be in the world applying your personal knowledge on a day-to-day basis, that does not equal what some engineer that publish a particular handbook is stating that this should be the way that it's done. So what the states are usually most concerned with, yes, you have to have some time and experience for most licenses, not all, but most. But can you be responsible enough and skilled enough to find the answer per the book to the questions on the test within the time given to you? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to assist you to be successful in these examinations. The first time, the one time, there is a high rate of not passing the examinations because, again, a lot of people rely so much on their knowledge. And one of the things that I personally have noticed is a lot of people that can let go of their knowledge and dedicate, let me go by the book, literally by the book, and let me know, oh, this book speaks about, for example, I know you hold a roofing license. Okay, this particular book talks about roofs with steep slope. So when you have a question about a roof that has over, let's say, 45-degree angle, you know what book to address right away. You don't need to worry about the rest of them. Now the key component is going to be knowing where in the book you're going to find that answer. And that's what we're going to teach you. You also mentioned about never touching these books ever again. Well, we offer for most states packages where we can rent you the books, where you will have the books for an amount of time, access to all of our courses and preparation. And, once you're done testing, you can return the books and get a reimbursement for that. Because as you said, the reality is you will probably never touch these books ever again. They're just going to collect dust. And not only that, they're going to get outdated after a certain amount of time.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, reselling them isn't really an option. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So,
And I'll tell you what, what you were talking about regarding trade knowledge versus the book knowledge. So you're right. I do hold a roofing contractor's license in the state of Florida, uh, and everybody in Florida knows. Everybody in the roofing trade in Florida knows. Probably people that aren't even in the roofing trade know that it's 6 nails in a shingle. So one of the exam questions is how many fasteners are required? What's the minimum number of fasteners for a shingle? And in the book, the answer is 4. So, I would have gotten that wrong had
yeah.
I not navigated the book. And I venture to say that there's probably about 90% of the roofers out there would argue, but the book says 4, right? So that's just one example. Every roofer in Florida knows it's 6 nails
Yeah.
because it's 6 nails into high wind, high velocity hurricane zones. But everywhere in Florida, you just put 6 nails. Everybody does it. It's,
We
it's
all
the standard.
we do. And it's funny because in the roofing industry we call it the beat rhythm. Is the pop pop pop
Yeah,
pop 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 with the gun.
exactly. It's 6, right? Pop, 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 not pop, 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 pop.
That's
So
it.
yeah, it's 6, not 4.
It's weird how we know things in the real world scenario versus whatever the book says.
Right. No, so I mean, that is a great example. And because it happened to me, it happened to every roofing contractor I know says the same thing.
Yeah.
They're always surprised to learn that it's actually 4, right? Because we
Yeah.
all just, even if you learned it 10 years ago, you forget. It, so yeah. Anyways, so the the thing that you mentioned regarding, and it's pretty fresh in my mind. Taking these exams, getting these certifications. So I'm just sort of remembering my experience, and what you're saying is pretty spot on in regards to needing to know how to navigate the books. That's the skill with getting the license. You know, learning the trade is, that's on you. That's on everyone's own responsibility. That's years of experience working in the field, working under a licensed contractor. The skill of navigating all the different books required that you're allowed to bring into the test with you, that is something completely different. It has nothing to do with trade experience.
And some
There's
people get a little overwhelmed because certain licenses can be 25 books. For example, the NASCLA commercial general contractor license takes 24, 23 books, if I'm not mistaken. Excuse me, out
yeah.
of the top of my head. So when you get a box of 82 pounds, you know, you your eyes get real big. You're like, oh my God, where do I start? Well, that's where we come into play. We're here to assist you. We're here to help you get organized and get structured so you can succeed in these exams.
This episode of the Next Level Contractor is sponsored by One Contractor Solutions. Florida's leading provider of back office services for builders, contractors, subcontractors, and developers. From permit expediting and private provider services to contractor municipality registrations, insurance supplement assistance, and bookkeeping, they are your one-stop shop for managing your contractor back office. Save time and money with One Contractor Solutions. Get a free, no obligation quote today at www.onecontractorsolutions.com or call 954 233 0155. I'm working on that one right now, actually. It's fun. And we didn't talk about this beforehand. I'm working on that exact one. So you're right. When I was not expecting all those books. I ordered the books, and I ordered it through One Exam Prep in full transparency. Yeah, how about that? Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, it was I mean, it was a stack. I thought this. I mean, I'm a solar contractor, and I thought that was a lot of books.
Yeah.
And
I mean, roofing in Florida, again,
well,
that's
yeah, it's
that's
11
a
of
lot
them.
of books, you know.
It was a ton of books.
And
So
then it's 11 for the trade, but if you add the business books, it's really six. A lot of people say
that's
three,
true. You
but
got to take the
that's
business. So it's two exams. For
right.
most states, right? It's two exams.
For
There's
most states, it's two.
there's a business exam, and then there's a trade knowledge exam.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. But no, you're absolutely right. As soon as I got all my books for the NASCLA general contractors, I immediately thought, what have I done? What did I get
Yeah.
myself into? So yeah, it's a lot. But really, help is the name of the game, right? I learned a long time ago, never do anything for the first time without coaching, without mentorship. Never do anything for the first time without checking, right?
Yeah.
Checking with someone, asking for help. And that has served me well, because left to my own devices, I will screw it up.
You
I'll
know,
just like a bull in a china shop, you know what I mean? I'll just go in and just start doing stuff. So that's probably some of the best advice I ever got in my life is don't do
I'm a sports guy. I've
it.
always
Okay.
been in sports. You know, I still at my old age, I still practice some sports, and I
Good for
always
you.
tell everybody that you know, you can be a great athlete on your own. You can learn all the rules of the game on your own. But if you have somebody directing you, coaching you, teaching you from prior knowledge, and correcting you consistently, your learning curve is going to be much quicker. And you're going to more than likely succeed. And if you look at anyone in the world, in any industry that is any level of successful, they have additional coaching, they have mentorship, they have somebody that's been in their shoes before. They're not reinventing the wheel. They might be polishing it. They may be, putting something nicer to it and adjusting it and maybe finding new ways and new techniques and new materials, but the wheel's still the wheel, and there's people out there to assist you to be more successful. And again, that's what we do. We're not reinventing the wheel about becoming a contractor, but we have a systematic way, we have a trademark system to assist you to succeed in these examinations and become a successful licensed contractor in whatever state that may be.
So so what we're really talking about is how to navigate the books.
Correct.
That's it. It's because it's not about memorization either. I mean, some of these books are thicker than the Bible, So, I mean, I can't imagine memorizing all the information in 11
This is
books.
just one book, and I have a
Right.
big old head, just to give perspective. So, again,
Right.
some of
So
these
to
books
memorize all
are
that
2,000
information,
pages, and the font
no
is
way.
minute.
Yeah, it's like point 0.4 or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's super small. So yeah, to memorize all the information is a ridiculous expectation.
yeah,
Trade knowledge isn't going to get you where you need to go. So the only way to do it is to memorize how to find the answers in the books.
correct.
I think a misconception is that an open book test. I think this is where a lot of uh, would-be contractors sort of they miss the opportunity to pass the exam on the first try because they understand that it's an open book exam, and so they figure, oh, it's going to be easy because it's open book. It is in fact more difficult because it is open book,
Yeah.
or it is open book because it is more difficult. So it's a tough exam, and if you think you're going to go in there without practice, without anybody helping you, you know, without using a coach, and just pass on the first try, just because you got your books in the mail, you go take your exam. That is, I would say that is probably 0.0001% of contractors are able to order the books, walk into the exam unprepared, and pass that thing on the first try.
I 100% agree. And I believe it or not, my college degree is actually history. So I was a teacher for several
Oh,
years,
wow.
and interestingly enough, I taught high school history, and I would give a lot of open book exams. And I taught because again, I would my theory on pedagogy was I need to teach these kids and prepare them for college or for future references. The reality is, in the real world, we have references to address. So I would give open book exams, but I taught them one important thing. Just because it is an open book does not mean that exam is going to be any easier. Um, and in
Absolutely.
turn, just like you said, because the exam is more challenging, therefore it is open book. And this holds very true when it comes to licensing and contractor licensing.
Absolutely. So I guess we've danced around this next question a little bit, but we can just like let's answer it head on if you can.
Sure.
Can you walk us through the step-by-step process of obtaining a contractor's license in like I don't just pick up Florida,
Okay.
Tennessee, Georgia,
Yeah.
so, just a few other states.
So, interestingly enough, the Southeast region is probably one of the most difficult and most challenging places to get licensing.
Ah,
That is just the nature of the beast in the South, Southeast. Let me reiterate that.
why do you think that is?
Um,
The storms?
we have, yeah, that's my personal opinion. Not only politics, but the regulations in the Southeast. Let's be honest, we are more affected by storms
Mm,
than any other region of the state, excluding the Midwest with tornadoes. There's really nothing you can do about tornadoes other than building basements. Um,
pray, yeah,
yeah,
pray. That's
I,
about
I
it.
lived in the Midwest for 8 years, so that
Got
was
it.
an experience. But so the Southeast is very unique when it comes to contracting and contracting licensing. And I break it down into 4 steps for most states. Step number 1, getting your books and preparation. Okay. Now, that may vary from state to state because some states you need to get what they call pre approval. But with that being said, you still have to get the books and study. So I usually suggest when I speak to a client and I tell him, listen, this is what is expected of you in your particular state, whether you need pre-approval or not. Um, you know, this is what every state requires a certain amount of experience. So this is the experience that you should have. If you have that experience, your pre-approval shouldn't be a problem. If it's a not required for pre-approval type state, then this is what you're going to require after testing because you'll do the application after testing
Mm,
in those states. For example, Florida is a application after testing state. You have to pass the exams first. Without the exams, you have absolutely nothing.
mm,
So step 1, getting your books and preparation. As you start, if it is a state like, say, for example, Georgia or the Carolinas, those states require pre-approval. They will, again, we'll go over the pre-approval requirements. If you have those, It's just a process and paperwork and fees that the state's going to charge you. Um, that's usually not a problem. After we explain those particulars for each individual license, because every license is going to be different. So start testing. I'm sorry, start studying in the meantime, so you don't waste your time. Time is money. Step 2, taking your examinations. Okay, you already got your books, you got your preparation, so you've been studying, you've been doing your due diligence. Now you got to take the exams and pass them. Passing scores change from state to state and from license to license. The majority of states, they will require 70% or greater. There are some states that require 75% correct or
Which
greater.
is harder than you think to get that.
And yeah, and last but not least, there are certain states that only require 72%. So that varies from state to state. I always tell everybody we're shooting for 80%. Okay. We have a supply of practice questions and exams that our instructors prepare, and everything, remembering it is based on the books, is not based on real world knowledge. So which is one of the skills that our instructors have. All of our instructors are licensed contractors in their particular field, either one or more licenses. So they understand how to utilize these books during the examinations. So number 1, books and preparation. Number 2, taking your examinations. Number 3, finalizing your application with the state. Okay. Whether you may require either credit reports, proof of experience, CPA reports. Some states require that you provide a report from your accountant with certain ability for credit lines, certain equities, so that varies from state to state. Last but not least, insurance, registering in your jurisdiction with your proper license. I'll use the state of Florida again, for example. Because you have a state license, that does not automatically mean that you can work the whole state with no problem. No, you have to re-register your license in various municipalities, counties, or cities, depending on where that location is. And that varies from city to city, from county to county. So we can assist with that as well. But those are the 4 steps that I usually break it down to: books and preparation, testing, finalizing your application, and registration and post-testing, organizing yourself and your company for success.
Right, getting the I think, right, you got to get your business registered. You've got to get
Correct.
insurance in place.
Correct.
There's all these things, and so one exam prep has sort of the has a list, right, for every particular license
Correct.
in all the different states. So you can sort of hand somebody a step-by-step guide. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do
We
to have
literally call it the checklist
the
because it's
checklist.
exactly what it is.
There it is. All right. Okay, cool. Okay, so what are some of the biggest mistakes that can cause someone to fail the licensing exam? And how can they avoid them?
Number 1, not completing the courses. Um, I and this happens once a week. I have somebody that will call up and say, "I failed the exam." Okay, let's see what did you lack of? What was it that occurred and made you fail the exam? 9 times out of 10, we can look in the back end of our courses and see how much of the preparation have you done. That case is 9 times out of 10, they're done less than 60%. So if you haven't done anything that we suggest that you do, how can you expect to succeed at something?
You didn't follow the system. You didn't follow the process. You didn't study. So you failed.
Usually the case, unfortunately.
Got it.
And that's the reality, and it pains me to say this, but that's usually the most common issue. Number two, we already talked about it, relying on personal experience. Guys will breeze through it because most of these exams are multiple choice, and they'll see a particular questions. You have A, B, C, D choices. Usually you can go by rule of elimination and get rid of at least two answers. And then you might have two other answers that are similar. Now you have to be really careful because the way that these exams are designed, sometimes they are designed a little bit to confuse you. So the verbiage, the wording of the answer, or even the wording of the question, like we talked about, the how many fasteners for a shingle. They'll have four, they'll have six, and then they'll have 36 or one.
So they'll have the answer choice that they know you're going to think could be the answer
Correct.
next
You
to the
know,
right, next to the correct
Again,
answer.
from professional and personal experience, and because of our high velocity issues in the state of Florida, the right answer will be six. And we would think, yeah, six, that's it. Boom, that's what we do every
In
day
real life,
in
right?
real world.
Yeah.
But the book says otherwise. The book says four. So breezing through that using personal experience is usually the second reason why people fail. The third and last reason from experience here is time management. A lot of people, these exams, you can't sit there forever. Depending on your exam, depending on your state, the amount of questions and the time allotted to finish your exam, it's finite. So, and that varies from state to state, from license to license, from exam to exam. Again, using the state of Florida, for example, for air conditioning, for HVAC, there's three different levels of licensing. They all have different amounts of questions and different time to complete those exams. So you need to be able to manage your time and be able to dedicate, okay, I have, let's say, hypothetically, 3 minutes and 15 seconds per question. So you need to learn time management. So you're not, okay, if I spend 5 minutes on this
Well,
question that I
what you mean
struggle
by
with.
that is that you have a certain amount of time to take the exam. And so if
Correct.
you divide the amount of time you have by the number of questions, that's where you're getting that three.
Yes.
It's not like you hit,
Yeah.
you know, I'm on question number one. I've got a 3-minute timer and then
Yeah.
it goes away.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Right.
You could be on a question for an hour, so they'll
So
let you
got it.
sit there for an hour and let the time run.
What you're saying is, um, don't spend 10 minutes on a particularly difficult question,
Yeah.
and cost yourself all that precious time, because you only have 3 minutes per question, right? So you could have answered more than three questions in that time, but you spent all this time on the one question when you could have just moved on to some easier ones, and
Correct.
then gone back to the tough one after you answered enough correct,
Correct.
right?
I mean,
Okay.
and again, that's part of the strategy of testing. Those are some of the key components that most people don't understand about this style of testing because it's very different from regular school, whether it's grade school, college, or whatever that may be, where memorization is so embedded in our style of education versus knowing how to use resources in front of you, in this case, the books.
Right. Which the truth is, that's more of a simulation of what real life is like anyway. I mean, in real life, we have Google, we have books, we have other people. Exactly. We have resources available to us. Yeah. So, I mean, my opinion is that, school memorization is good, but it's not like real life. Yeah.
Right.
In real life, we don't have to memorize every single thing and every single piece of information that we need on a day to day, because we
Correct.
can always just look it up. Okay. Well, that is all super helpful stuff. I think we're about out of time because I know you're a super busy guy, so I don't want to
Thank
keep you
you.
all day. I really, really appreciate all this. I know everyone does. And once again, if you're out there and you're watching this video and you're thinking about getting your license, or maybe you already got a license and you had a heck of a time getting it, and you're thinking that you might want to get another license, but you don't want to go through the pain that you went through the first time, taken the test a whole bunch of different times, or studying for 3 years to try to pass this thing, reach out to One Exam Prep, reach out to Carlos, and see if that's going to be a viable option for you. If that's going to take a lot less time, right? Maybe you can pass it on the first try instead of 10 tries, with some coaching, with some help. So don't hesitate. I think you said it was Carlos at oneexamprep.com.
That is correct. Carlos at oneexamprep.com. And my direct number, which is 954-414-0293.
All right. And I guess if you're not quite ready to talk to Carlos, I suppose you could just visit the website, right?
Absolutely.
oneexamprep.com. Check it out, explore a little bit, see what's offered, and then you can make contact. So,
And listen, I don't charge to chit chat for a little bit. Our consultations 100% free. There's no obligation. I'm not trying to push one thing or the other. What we're going to do, anyone in our team, is we're going to consult with you. We're going to give you some advice of what, depending on your individual needs, what exactly you should do. But again, we give you the particular options, and that freedom of choice, and what would be best and correct for you, because again, license vary from scope to scope. And I'll use the example. Everybody is so common to hear, oh, I want to be a general contractor. Well, you may not need a general contractor's license. Maybe you just need a residential license. Or maybe you're just building swimming pools. Maybe you're just building residential swimming pools, nothing commercial. So again, those are the conversations that we need to have with anyone, and we'd be more than happy to assist. We have a saying around the office: we don't win until you win. So we're here to help you win.
all right. So if you are a skilled tradesperson that is considering going to the next level and getting your actual certifications, your contractor's license, or whether you're already a contractor and you're thinking about getting an additional license, reach out to One Exam Prep, reach out to Carlos, and check it out. Have a conversation, see what's entailed, see if it's for you. So
Absolutely.
thank you very much, Carlos, and to anybody out there watching or listening. Please, if you got something, if you got some good information, please give us a like, subscribe, share the video. Every subscription helps so much. It helps us keep on keeping on. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.